everyone, my name is Ruku and I'm here with Kayla, Julia, and Elena to talk a little bit about climate change in Ohio. So we're going to start by establishing a little bit of the background of Oxford and really just lay a foundation for the rest of our presentation. Oxford is physically located on a series of hills, and with an average time to work of 16.4 minutes, most people use a motor vehicle. The year-round population of Oxford is nearly doubled with the addition of students, but focusing on the people that live here full-time, we see that the annual household income is significantly below that of the average annual household income of a normal family in Ohio, which explains the high poverty rate in Oxford compared to that in average of Ohio at 47.5%.
Much like the gap in average poverty rate, Oxford differs from the average of the state of Ohio in employment by industry. For example, 43.1% of people employed in Oxford are in the educational service industry, compared with the 9.5% of the state of Ohio. Our group hypothesizes that discrepancies are due to the fact that Oxford is home to a major university.
As we've seen from class and our discussions this semester, there are a multitude of health impacts that can arise from the changing climate. Extreme heat can lead to increases in respiratory, renal, and cardiovascular illnesses, as well as hyperthermia, diabetes, and premature births. Excess precipitation can lead to changes in the impact and patterns of infectious disease. It can also lead to waterborne illnesses and pathogens, as well as sanitation issues that arise from runoff. Inland flooding can lead to drowning, electrocution, and increased waterborne infections, as well as motor vehicle accidents and injuries. And drought can cause compromised drinking water, food, nutrition, and increase the particulate matter in the air, which can lead to respiratory illnesses and make them worse, such as bronchitis, pneumonia, or asthma. In addition, algal bloom can produce dangerous toxins, can raise costs of water treatments, and can lead to gastrointestinal issues and liver disease. Dangerous air quality can increase the severity and occurrence of asthma, COPD, and lung cancer. And all of these things lead to an overall decrease in mental health in the community, which can cause a weakened immune system due to increased rates of anxiety and depression.
We chose to rely heavily on predictive climate change data from Nathan's presentation in class this semester. We based all subsequent thresholds for poor outcomes on the Representative Concentration Pathway Model 8.5, also known as RCP 8.5. We chose this model because it is realistic based on our current climate change policies. In regards to extreme heat, RCP 8.5 predicts an increase of 5.57 degrees Fahrenheit by mid-century and 9.49 degrees Fahrenheit by late century. In regards to precipitation, RCP 8.5 predicts an increase in precipitation during winter and spring, in addition to an increase in the frequency, intensity, and duration of extreme precipitation events throughout the year. In regards to drought conditions, we expect to encounter issues with soil moisture projections and vapor pressure deficit in the summer. This would all result in poor conditions for agriculture.
Based off of this foundation, we now have 3 areas of consideration for current inequities and vulnerabilities. The first area of consideration is poverty. If we recall, Oxford had a much higher average poverty rate than the state of Ohio, which means that the majority of its residents have a decreased disposable income, which leads them to have less financial flexibility, which makes them less resilient in the face of disasters. This can also lead to a widening gap between the have and the have-nots, as described by Singer in Chapter 5. All health impacts require money. If these people are already poor, then they don't have the tools to adapt to climate change and different issues that can occur, such as heat stroke, exhaustion, malnutrition, and infrastructure concerns. When comparing this consideration with the other considerations, we have to look at the 7 areas of prioritization. Approximately 9,500 people are currently living in poverty, which has resulted in a seriously reduced adaptive capacity for these individuals. However, these inequities that are rooted directly in socioeconomic status will cause the perpetuation of the cycle of poverty. Even though there are plenty of opportunities, limited resources are hard to come by because resources are money.
In terms of geographic location, Oxford is relatively isolated. The major heat waves that are predicted by the RCP 8.5 will result in increased hospitalizations. Because McCullough Hyde is the only hospital within 40 minutes, we expect a decrease in the availability and quality of care. Given Oxford's location in an agriculturally heavy area, increases in drought will increase respiratory illness. Increased precipitation, on the other hand, can lead to the exacerbation of mold and pollen-related allergies in an already problematic allergy zone. In the case of extreme weather events, Oxford's isolated location would make it difficult for emergency services to travel in or out. In terms of when looking at the prioritization of Oxford's geographic location and how this relates to health effects of climate change, it is obvious that there are large numbers of people impacted. While this presents a very severe problem, there appear to be an infinite number of non-feasible solutions, as we are restricted by our unchangeable location. In other words, it is a gravity problem with low levels of available resources.
Oxford is also significantly reliant on Miami University. As discussed earlier, a majority of jobs in Oxford are created because of the university, from educational services to entertainment and accommodations. The reliance on a single institution creates a large point of vulnerability for the city. Climate change at RPC 8.5 will impact Miami's revenue, ability to bring students in, and ability to employ individuals. Additionally, increased drought and precipitation will bring new vector-borne diseases to the area, which is particularly problematic given Oxford's dense population. When considering our 7 criteria, we can see that approximately 13,800 individuals of the city of Oxford are employed in the industries of educational services, food and accommodations, art, entertainment and recreation, professional services, real estate, and rental and leasing industries. All divisions that Miami University and its students directly impact and rely on. Without the university providing a majority of the employment opportunities for the city, 69.4% of the residents would become unemployed.
After looking at each of the 3 considerations in detail, poverty, geographic location, and reliance on Miami University, we have chosen to focus our attention on Oxford's reliance to Miami. We realize that the RCP 8.5 model represents the worst-case scenario for climate change, so we wanted to tailor our solutions towards feasible solutions and suggestions to mitigate these issues. We first want to address the increased operating costs of the university associated with the projected increase in temperature. These costs will not directly affect health, but it will impact the number of students choosing in Miami, which will lead to decreased revenues for employability of Oxford residents. We want to proactively prepare for increased operating costs by incrementally increasing the cost of tuition. We also want to create more incentives that make Miami more attractive to potential students to offset the slightly higher tuition price. Additionally, the RCP 8.5 model is predicting increases in precipitation, which will increase the prevalence and spread of various infectious diseases. We propose a partnership with the Oxford Free Clinic in order to offer primary health care as well as preventative resources. Additionally, we want to expand the Global Health Innovation Center to allow students to conduct research projects that help students understand and mitigate the spread of infectious and vector-borne illnesses. Finally, because of the predicted damages to infrastructure from extreme weather events, our suggestion is to proactively improve the infrastructure to prevent damages, reduce injury, and prevent unfavorable health outcomes due to transportation delays.
Here is our Works Cited page with all of our sources. And now we would like to open the floor to questions.